But here's a comment that just popped up on our YouTube channel, 70S carbon wire tips. So this is a video that I was doing talking about how to weld 70S-2 carbon wire because it can be pretty hard if you are first into the industry and you haven't done it before. This comment says, when I do this, I don't get enough reinforcement on the backside. That's why I keep it in there without pulling it out. What am I doing wrong? So the trick with 70S-2 wire is it is a little bit more dense and trickier to weld than 70S6 carbon wire. So what you have to do with 70S2 carbon wire is you really don't want a tight gap and you really don't want to use 332 that much whenever you're first starting out, because 332 70S2 wire can give you porosity on the bottom if you're trying to backfeed it. Also, if you're using 70S2 wire, don't grind your starts. What I mean is if you put a little bit of the root in and stop, and then you're going to grind your stop and then start again, it's just going to eat away and cause porosity. I don't know how to explain it. There's probably a science to it, but 70S2 just does that all the time. So what I do with 70S2 wire is whenever I was starting out, I'd grab 1/8 inch 70S2 and I'd put about a 532 gap or a loose 1/8, and I really wouldn't have a lot of movement with my TIG rig because the 70S2 TIG wire is a little bit more dense than it feels like the bevels of the metal. So whenever you're trying to go wide and melt your 70S2 wire, which is right here, into the bevels, a lot of the times your knife edge will eat out before the wire will. And so it causes like this issue to where you're always just going wider and wider and wider. But what I found is just get a tighter gap that isn't, too wide, but it isn't too tight, and that you can just barely wiggle and burn the 70S2 wire while you're going up for the root. Hopefully that helps. I struggled a lot with 70S2 wire when I first started welding. For you younger guys, just don't take 70S2 wire lightly. Just make sure that you're paying attention to it because it is not like 70S6 at all. 70S2 carbon wire is kind of like an alloy, but if you weld with 70S2 a lot, you're going to get a lot better at welding, because when I went on that job in St. Croix for 2 years, it was 70S2 the whole time. I struggled for the first 4 months, but then after that, it made me a lot better welder. So